In this section, we'll talk about menu optimization for delivery platforms. Thinking about one, what menu options should I offer? And two, how should I approach pricing? On thinking about what menu options you should offer, you should think about how many items you want to offer and which items. You want to think on how many you want to think about what are my customers most excited about, but also how does this impact my cost of goods sold and labor? As you have more items, those typically increase. You should figure out the number of items you do by one, comparing to what other restaurants do. We have some sample benchmarks on the next page. And two, measuring how adding an item impacts your turnaround time. So implementing that test and learn that we described as an advantage of delivery platforms. You should remove items that are slowing down your process or are rarely ordered. And then the third is general guidance. Number of items does vary by restaurant, but in general, we recommend fewer for better simplicity and reduced cost. On which items, you want to make sure the food travels well and stays good for 30 minutes. And we found that restaurants do this by experimenting. They take the food item, they shake it around, they drive it around and taste it after 30 minutes and say, is this the experience that I want to deliver to my customers? The second is that they adjust. So if they're not getting the right experience, they change the menu item. We found that one burger place changed out their thick fries for shoestring fries since they traveled much better. On this slide, we have some benchmarks of the number of menu items by cuisine. On the left-hand side, you can see different types of cuisines, the median number of menu items that they're delivering, and the range. As you can see, the range is pretty wide. So let's take the Asian category for an example. The typical Asian restaurant is offering 50 items. However, we saw the range from 6 to almost 200 items. Our takeaways from this is the number of items is going to be unique for every restaurant. However, your general guidance is to simplify the menu. Do fewer items so you can potentially drive down cost. You can help customers navigate your menu by having multiple categories with smaller numbers of items and using special categories like vegan, keto, or gluten-free to help customers with dietary restrictions navigate the menu. We also found that a lot of restaurants were upcharging for sauces and extra spices to help increase their margin for purchase. That's something that you can consider experimenting with. We have a case study of different menu optimization techniques that restaurants have done. Generally falling into two buckets. One, what can you change about your own menu? And two, how can you help change consumer behavior in order to drive a better experience? On changing your own menu, we have the example of Square Pie Guys. They found that they were getting complaints that their pies didn't have enough sauce on them by the time they reached the customers. And so they actually just added extra sauce to delivery pies. So even in delivery platforms where you're less close to your customers, you want to make sure you're still getting that feedback so you can adjust your menu items accordingly. On providing guidance to customers, we found Reams, which provides Instagrammable food, wasn't being presented properly. And so they allowed customers to select different presentations so they felt more control over the presentation process. Beretta, on the other hand, found that their food was being served cold and wasn't very microwave friendly. And so they provided optimal reheating instructions to help maintain that customer experience and price premium that people expect with their product. Thinking about pricing, there are two options you can really consider. One, you can keep delivery and takeout prices equal. And the second is you can increase your delivery prices to offset margin. The first option tends to be better suited for restaurants with less brand awareness and loyalty. The second one is better known for well-known restaurants with unique offerings where customers are more willing to pay a price premium. The advantages of the first option is customers feel that pricing is fair. However, the disadvantage is it obviously hurts your profit margin. Delivery platforms are taking 30% out and you're not getting a lot back in. On the second option, you help offset that commission that delivery platforms are taking, but customers can feel ripped off. And so you have a potential to lose some of your loyal customers. This is a decision that you will need to make as a business. What our general guidance is to start with higher prices, understand how much customers are willing to pay, and then you can decrease them over time. However, it's much harder if you start with a lower price and find that you're not getting enough profitability out of your delivery business to then raise those prices because people are used to paying the lower price. We have a simple Excel tool that can help inform this conversation. By understanding the potential profit by price point for an individual item. There'll be more on this in a subsequent section.